You really thought you'd be wanted here, Amanda? Look at you, barely fit behind the bar. What's it feel like to be the punchline in someone else's perfect wedding? A full glass of Cabernet slammed into Amanda's palm, cold soaking straight through the rental polycotton shirt to her skin. The words weren't a secret exchange. They rattled off the lips of her ex, Parker, as his live-streamed phone hovered. The ring light flare spotlighted every curve she could never flatten away. Somewhere above their heads, the downpour played a jagged rhythm against the covered entrance of Casetta Verde, the polished restaurant in Astoria where she'd signed up to cocktail serve, not to be the evening's entertainment. Even in good heels, Amanda's left foot slipped on the rain-soaked tile and her ample frame jostled the stack of clean rocks glasses. 4 tumbled, 1 shattered. She bit her tongue. It was always numbers, 3 steps to the counter, 4 glasses lost, 1,000 eyes in the swarm closest to Parker's phone, streaming every second on socials. And there, half-shadow, broad in the storm-lit glass, stood the only man who did not look away. His eyes met hers from beneath the restaurant's archway, a storm held behind charcoal lashes. His tailored coat still beaded with rainwater, he didn't look stunned. He looked hungry. Amanda bent to gather the broken glass just as the power in the lobby flicked unsteady, catching the glint of something, silver watch, black signet, a Madonna inked in fine lines on the side of his left neck. A low, measured voice cut the static just behind her. "Let me." A hand reached her elbow, not Parker's, not a customer's. She straightened, heart pounding into P2. The man's suit cost half a year of rent, but Amanda noticed the way his shoes were silent on drenched stone tiles, the restraint in the single nod he gave the floor manager. No wasted movement. His gaze didn't linger on the wine stain, nor her clumsy grip. He traced the lines of the broken glass, the number of intact trays, then lifted his eyes and met hers like a dare. "Are you hurt, Amanda?" he asked. Every syllable wrapped her name in slow gravity, low and deliberate. His accent was Queen's, but edges of old-world Italian slid under the vowels. "And no, I'm fine, really." She reached for a towel, her wrist trembling. She always counted, 4 towels clean, 2 left. Her reality was measured, compartmentalized, boxy, and safe. He didn't miss it. "You count when you're anxious." His voice was neither mockery nor sympathy, just a statement curious. She flushed, eyes darting to his neck. Madonna icon, gunmetal gray tie, storm of rain-slick hair combed immaculate. It helps. I'm so sorry you had to see that, sir." Amanda didn't dare apologize for her body, but her tone tried to make itself small. "Don't apologize, Amanda, not for him." He kept her name whole, unsplit by diminutives. She watched, half reeling, as he crouched and gathered 2 of the largest glass shards without flinching. "Some people break what they fear," he murmured, setting the shards neatly on a napkin. She blinked, processing. "I didn't mean to." "Not you, him." His chin tilted minutely in the direction Parker had vanished, trailing a greasy laugh and his phone camera toward the wedding ballroom. A breath caught in Amanda's throat. She expected to shrink. Instead, she stood a hair straighter. The manager called, "Enzo, your table's ready." But the man, the boss, unmistakable, didn't move, not yet. He addressed Amanda once more, serious as a vow. "If anyone touches you again, you come straight to me." Understood, Amanda Bennett. The heat in her cheeks mingled with the world's attention. His was the only gaze that made her feel safe, not exposed. The simple protective order hung in the air far longer than any apology could. He pressed a white handkerchief into her palm, a fine monogram. See, the lint smelled of tobacco and bergamot, memory and threat. She almost dropped it. It was heavier than a napkin ought to be. "I thank you, you really don't have to." "Do you know who I am?" he asked, quiet but absolute. A headshake, he smiled, but it was predatory. "Good, remember the name, Don Matteo Caruso." She mouthed it, numbers ticking. 1 glass saved, 10 eyes still watching, 1 Mafia boss standing much too close. He moved off to his corner table, but as Amanda gathered herself, she felt his gaze tracking every step. The ballroom pulsed, LEDs refracting across crystalline plates, 100 voices mashed into a single note of opulent celebration. Amanda's station was an overcrowded bar cart wedged against the far wall. She felt glass eyes from all angles, but none burned more than Parker's as he zipped around the bridal party, now with two costumed groomsmen at his side. "Hey, everyone," he crowed, phone back up, streaming again. "Let's see if Mandy can fit between the tables without knocking someone over. Careful, sweetheart." The groomsmen laughed, one ostentatiously backing away as Amanda attempted to weave between the tight cluster with her tray up. The crowd's attention prickled like sleet, a single misery no one would stop. Amanda steadied herself, eyes on the champagne numbers, 6 flutes, 3 gaps, 2 empty trays. She exhaled and pressed forward. Parker blocked her outright, ramming a tall boy into her chest. "Oof, better watch out. Maybe this is why they never let you serve at real events, fatso." Someone else's wine glass went over. Liquid rolled down Amanda's elbow. The bride's grandmother gasped as her pale blue dress was splashed dark. Parker's phone panned in on her close. "Smile for the followers," he jeered into the lens. "Show them what rejection looks like up close." She forced herself not to back away, not to shrink. "Would you like a napkin for your spill?" Her voice, low, didn't tremble. She had 3 clean ones left. She pressed one into the woman's hand. "Oops, one for the cow too," Parker sneered, tossing a cocktail napkin at her shoes. Behind her, Don Matteo Caruso watched, jaw tight, eyes narrowed like a storm front. He rose from his table, each motion measured, the Madonna tattoo on his neck flexing as he shifted. "Enough!" Caruso's voice was not raised, yet it cut the music. "Mr. Michaels, you're making a mess of my evening." Parker's bravado faltered. "Oh, sorry man, I didn't know this was your circus." He tried to laugh it off, but his phone kept recording. Caruso ignored the phone altogether. His authority was stripped of ostentation. "I don't tolerate cruelty at my table, not to anyone, especially not to Amanda Bennett." A hush crawled across the space. Parker rolled his eyes, pushing past Amanda so roughly her tray jerked, but she managed, knife-sharp reflexes controlling the topple. Only 1 glass fell, she counted. "Stay in your lane, old man," Parker called, voice high but empty of confidence. A phone buzzed at Caruso's hip. He stepped aside, answering in Italian. Amanda caught snatches, names, a hotel in Manhattan, a ballot box. His words in English as he clicked the phone closed, bled ice. 5 minutes, that's all you have before the music stops. Amanda felt the shift not just in him but in the air. Whispers tumbled along the perimeter. "That's Don Caruso. She's with him." The power was no longer Parker's. She looked directly at Parker. "3 things, Parker. You need a mop, a new line, and a better audience." Her voice was soft, but it hit like a gavel. Dignity, quiet but absolute. He smirked but stepped back. Within seconds, the background hum moved on. The music returned, though no one looked at Parker any longer. Caruso appeared at her side, one hand low, gentle at her elbow. "We're leaving, now." The order landed, no room for protest. She didn't argue. Amanda let herself be steered through a parted crowd, out toward the side corridor and a floodlit parking lot, where fresh rain washed away the event's heat. The door thunked shut behind them, slicing off the echo of humiliation and camera lights. "Your shift's over, Amanda. You're coming with me." His look made it clear this was not a request. She closed her eyes, counting heartbeat, shoe squish, steady breaths, 3 steps to the edge of her old life. The rain softened to a hush against the roof of Caruso's matte black Maserati. Inside, silence pooled. Amanda traced the damp line where her sleeve grazed the console, feeling 3 different heat sources, the car's, her own, and the fire of his proximity. He glanced at her, eyes no longer cold. "Who was that to you?" The man with the phone. Amanda found the numbers crept up again as a shield. "Ex-boyfriend, 7 years ago, 2 months, 3 days, give or take." She half smiled, apology caught in her throat. "Still hurt you?" His tone was more a verdict than a question. "Only when he turns me into a joke for his story. It's always been that way, on camera, online. Easier to be the villain when you're not the pretty one, right?" He huffed, a shadow of a laugh. Anyone who calls you less is either blind, stupid, or working an angle, which is he. She hesitated, eyes flicking to the Madonna on his neck. Mostly cruel and loves attention, he used to film everything, even in private. He absorbed this, fingers drumming once on the steering wheel. Your past isn't weakness, Amanda Bennett. Sometimes the best weapons are the ones they never see coming. He leaned forward, voice lowering. You did well not running, most would. The words curdled something shameful inside her into an unexpected pride. Her phone buzzed, 7 missed calls, Parker's number. She ignored it. A call came for Caruso, he answered in sharp Italian. Amanda tried not to listen, but she caught candidate Marchesi Red Hook Docs. His knuckles whitened. He turned to her. I need you safe, Amanda. There is business tonight, messy and political. He unclicked his signet ring, slipped it from finger to vest pocket in a deft, unconscious gesture. You're not safe here, not with that jackal sniffing for followers and the Marchesi family pulling strings. There's an apartment upstairs, mine, locked, stay until I call. She bristled, but before she could protest, he surprised her. You know how to handle yourself far better than most who'd break under less, but this is a different war. He studied her, the look lingering too long for mere evaluation. Then his hand reached over, hesitant, before tucking a wet strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was gentle, almost reverent. Amanda's breath caught, chest tight. Her instinct was always to apologize, to shrink, to doubt, but his nearness demanded something different, a presence she'd felt nowhere else. He pressed a security card into her hand. Scan this to enter. Do not answer the door to anyone but me. Understood, Amanda Bennett. She nodded, swallowing all the questions stacked beneath her tongue. The numbers, 1 card, 1 lock, 1 chance, soothed her. She clutched the badge as if it held more weight than her own heart. A final call, brusque, pierced the mood. The politicians' meeting is moving. Half-hour window, East Garden entrance. Caruso snapped the phone shut. He exhaled, eyes scanning her face. I have to go. I'd take you with me if I could, but it's not safe yet. Stay inside. Amanda's brow creased. You expect trouble. I always do. He smiled tightly, then, as if deciding something, bent his head closer, the scent of rain and cologne darkening the world between them. But there's trouble that's worth the price. He pushed open the door. Upstairs, I'll be back for you, Amanda. This time, just her first name, and it rang of promise more than command. Amanda slipped from the car, following the path up 3 flights, counting out each step. Yet something in her rebelled against hiding. She hovered at the window, watching his figure disappear into the velvet night, every instinct in her warning, tonight, everything changes. The apartment was a fortress disguised as opulence. Amanda expected vulnerability inside herself, but as she crossed the marble-floored entry, she felt a wrath growing in marrow. On the television, muted but rolling captions scrolled, Queen's political race tightens, Marchesi family-backed candidate unseats old guard. Beneath it, blurred figures in dark suits shook hands along the Red Hook waterfront. A knock startled her. She bolted upright, counting the gaps to the door. But it was only Caruso's lieutenant, one of the men from the lobby, a no-nonsense, grizzled man named Rixai. I'm to verify identity, ma'am, Rixai said, tone brisk. Don Caruso's orders. He set a laptop bag on the counter, then nodded towards the window. Take a look at this. Marchesi's making a move tonight. Word is your ex. His new influencer job came via Marchesi payroll. The world shuffled, deck reloaded. Amanda's inward tally flicked, 3 layers, humiliation, mafia plots, digital betrayals. Rixai continued, oblivious to the puzzle pieces snapping together. Got any tech background? Boss says you have a good head. Ever seen one of those drives before? He handed her a slim black hard drive stamped with an Interpol label. Amanda's stomach dropped, recognition and electric hit up her spine. No way, Rixai murmured as she snapped the drive into the laptop, typing in a password sequence so quick his jaw slackened. How'd you? She didn't answer, eyes instead roving file trees in 3 languages, triaging folders for evidence. floor plans, tracking data, payoffs, streams. It was everything: Marchese's bribes, Parker's career as a paid nuisance, even surveillance of political targets. Buried among it all, a live map of the wedding venue, security flaws marked in hot red. Rixey crossed himself. You wait, you were Interpol. Amanda kept her breath steady. 3 years, Europe. I quit before the heat landed, kept a backup copy, knew these families would try again. He stared, then gave a low whistle. You just saved the Don's neck. Within moments, chaos flared on the city cams, rival SUVs closing the block. Rixey grabbed the radio. Don Caruso, she cracked Marchese's files. They know about the political handoff. She's not a liability, she's your ticket. Amanda's phone vibrated, unknown number. On instinct, she answered. You always did overperform, Parker's voice chided, sill-crapped spite. I hope you told the Don what you did for me, or will you let him find out the hard way? Rixey stepped in full force. The boss is on his way, stay low. Amanda's fingers flew, dragging the network feed onto the screen live, Parker's account, cross-linked with Marchese's fixer. At that moment, the door burst open, Caruso, breathless and stone-eyed, flanked by security. He zeroed in on Amanda, on the lines of code and the hard drive in her palm. Everything all right, he rumbled, gravel thick. She looked up. Marchese paid Parker to stream from the wedding live surveillance. Your rivals are moving via Red Hook now, using the window he created. Rixey added, she's the reason you're still breathing, boss. Caruso's gaze lingered a fraction, pride mixing with a possessive heat Amanda had only glimpsed before. Wordless, he stepped forward, cupping her jaw, an open claim witnessed by every guard in the room. He's not to touch you again, Caruso said, full name this time, deadly serious. Amanda Bennett, you belong here with me, not a question. Parker's voice squawked one last taunt on the laptop feed. You'll never be more than a joke, Mandy. Amanda closed the laptop herself, eyes diamond hard. You're out of time, Parker, this isn't your show anymore. Within seconds, Rixey dragged Parker, who'd tried sneaking around the rear entrance, into the room, wrists zip-tied, streaming phone confiscated and thrown aside. Caruso turned to the lieutenants. Marchese's move dies tonight, and so does Parker's fame. Amanda felt the center of the world tilt, no longer watching safety from behind numbers but swept into its core. The rain had finally stopped by dawn, leaving a cool blue wash over Caruso's mansion, its balcony wide and quiet above Astoria's waking city. Below, the city healed from the night's frenzied violence. Inside, silence stretched rich. Amanda stood by the window in a borrowed suit shirt, hair loose, the chaos of hours passed feeling distant. She watched Rixey escort Parker down to a waiting squad car, the ex's eyes wild and lost. Marchese's lawyer, cornered by the files Amanda provided, agreed in hushed shame to withdraw the political bid. Consequences dropped fast, justice moved quicker than gossip. In the grand hall, Don Mateo Caruso convened the syndicate's heads. With deliberate ceremony, he set Amanda at his right hand, not behind, not apart. This is Amanda Bennett, he announced, the Madonna tattoo stark against clean collar, voice iron. The family's new consigliere. She saved all of you tonight, the kind of loyalty that costs more than blood. Anyone who thinks otherwise can find employment elsewhere. He pressed the signet ring into her hand, a coronation final and public. The heads murmured approval, some in awe, others in cautious admiration. Amanda felt the heat of 100 eyes, but none stung as once before. Caruso's hand hovered gentle at the small of her back, irrevocably claiming. Later, alone together on that high balcony, Caruso stood close enough she could see the storm had gone from his eyes, replaced by satisfaction and want. He caught her gaze, fingertips tracing her palm. Amanda Bennett, you'll never count yourself out again, not while I breathe. She met his gaze directly, then finally replied, voice steady, each syllable sharp. I decide who I am, starting now. He smiled, a true thing, for once unguarded. If you loved watching her transform from invisible to untouchable, hit that like button. Share this story with your fellow dark romance addicts. Subscribe to the channel for more thrilling Mafia romance stories. See you in the next story. Amanda stood, the sun cresting just above the hard-edged city, burning gold behind plate glass windows. Down on the street, Parker's face was blurred by the squad car's back window. His live stream finally ended. The world, 100 screens and 1,000 gossips had already begun to turn elsewhere. Inside, Caruso exhaled, tension giving way to tired relief. He kept to her side, never overbearing, just present, like someone who knew she was used to vanishing and was intent on making sure she never did again. She fingered the signet ring, the metal warmer than she expected. The weight was more than ceremonial. It was an anchor, a claim, both threat and promise wound tight. Caruso leaned against the banister beside her. For a while, neither spoke. Both watched the clouds peel away from the jagged Manhattan skyline. "You did more than I hoped," he said finally, his accent softened with fatigue. "Most would have run or waited for someone else to act." Amanda gave a low, wry laugh. "I was tired of running. I hid for years, shrank so small I thought maybe the numbers would keep me safe. They never did." He cocked his head. "You used numbers for comfort." "Counting was habit," she admitted. "Insurance. When things fell apart, it made the world less unpredictable, but it never gave me," she hesitated, searching for the word, "power, dignity. I've spent so long apologizing for space I take up, for speaking or staying. I stopped last night." Caruso's gaze sharpened. "Good, who you are, who you've always been deserves that, no apology required." Amanda met his gaze. Standing here, still trembling from the aftermath, she understood for the first time that safety was not smallness but standing out and refusing to be broken. Rixai appeared at the doorway, awaiting instructions. "Don Caruso, everything's settled at the club. Marchese's crew are pulling out. The cops want a statement from Miss Bennett. They know what she's done and they're grateful." Amanda nodded, pulse steady. "I'll talk to them. I want Parker charged with everything, privacy violations, harassment, conspiracy. No more passing him off as a clown." Caruso didn't smile, but a hint of pride glimmered. "He'll pay for what he did to you. The Marchese family as well. They'll think twice before using the city as their playground." Rixai grinned, clearly delighted. "Never seen the Don bow to anyone, M-Lady. You're a terror in the best way." Amanda grinned back. "Let's not start a cult just yet." He ducked from the room and Amanda and Caruso were alone again. A hush filled the air, ripe with the knowledge of everything they'd survived, separately then now together. "So," Amanda said, teasing, "what exactly does a consigliere do? Do I get a badge, business cards?" Caruso suppressed a chuckle, shoulders relaxing. "You advise, strategize, you keep the Don alive and remind him there's a world beyond violence. You tell me when I'm being a fool." She drew in a long breath. "And if I decide this isn't for me someday?" His expression sobered. Caruso turned to face her in full, the city at his back. "Then you walk away with everything you brought. No threats, no debts. I promised you safety, Amanda. I don't break my word." Relief washed through her. The old Amanda, the Amanda who counted to comfort herself, would have flinched from the promise, doubted her worthiness. The new Amanda let herself trust it. They stood quietly a while longer. Amanda's hand drifted to the curve of his wrist, her thumb tracing the faded Madonna on his neck. A strange prayer offered not in desperation now, but in gratitude. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, gentle. "What will you do with your future, the power, the safety?" Amanda looked at her reflection in the glass, outlined strong against morning. "I'll stop running, I'll stop apologizing, and maybe I'll even stop counting." Caruso's hand covered hers, warm and sure. "You saved my life tonight, you saved your own too." She smiled, real and wide, and this time she let herself occupy all the space she wanted. Downstairs, the city woke to new headlines, new rumors. Amanda's name, no longer a punchline, found its way into whispers of respect, of awe. She didn't care about fame, only truth. The suite's door cracked open again, Rixai cautious. "Cars ready for precinct, ma'am, Don, whenever you're set." Amanda nodded. "Let's go." As they left the room, Caruso quietly slid his fingers between hers. It was no longer protection, it was partnership. She didn't need to count steps beside him. For the first time, she walked simply for the joy of leaning forward, a future undiminished, unafraid. And as the rain-washed world widened out beneath her feet, Amanda Bennett, formidable, unshaken, and entirely herself, knew this was only the beginning. Amanda stepped into the corridor, the morning bright against her face, Caruso steady at her side. The air smelled of rain, strong coffee, and beginnings. No one looked past her now. Every pair of eyes, Rick's eyes, the waiting driver S, even the doorman's, recognized her new gravity. She nodded, shoulders back, chin high. Downstairs, Parker was being loaded into the cruiser, bluster spent, grin replaced by a glare and silence. He jerked when Amanda drew level, but she only regarded him with brief, exhausted pity. "You broke what you feared," she said, echoing Caruso's words from the night before, soft enough to cut. "But fear can't keep me small anymore." Parker looked away for good. Rick's eye opened the car's door. "Miss Bennett, sorry, consigliere," he corrected, grinning as he ushered her in. Caruso slid in after. For once, Amanda didn't flinch at the closeness. She wanted it, this new life, sharp-edged and earned. As the streets flowed by in gold and slate ribbons, Caruso rested his hand on hers, thumb steady at her knuckles. She squeezed back, already thinking in steps ahead, news cycles, courtrooms, syndicate tables, alliances to build. "Do you know," she said, voice lighter, "I used to dream about being invisible. Now I want to fill every room I walk into." Caruso smirked, admiring. A queen doesn't dream of shadows. She laughed. It sounded real, unguarded, surprising even herself. No more hiding, Mateo. He leaned closer, dark eyes softer now. "Never again, Amanda Bennett, not while I'm standing." The car pulled away from the curb, carrying her toward police interviews, headlines, and a city that just yesterday tried to shrink her to a punchline. Now, she was rewriting not only her own story, but the rules for everyone watching. Amanda rested her free hand against the window, watching the rainy city give way to sunlit avenues. The city was awake, unjudging. She would walk into those precinct doors not as an apology, but a presence, one story ending, another beginning, each step unmeasured, every stride her own. In the end, Amanda realized survival wasn't about counting slips or apologies. It was about deciding she belonged. And this time she claimed her space, forever unshrinking, unforgettable.